Hello everybody, this is Lilla in Hawaii. I'm making a few little favors and sort of Christmas gifts. I belong to a group called Love, Ladies of the Victorian Era, here in Hawaii. And we have a gift exchange, so I'm making some different items for that. So I thought I would show you how I make these brooches. This one I've finished today, and I'm putting the pin on the back. As you can see, it's not dry yet, but I'm gluing it on with this glue. So I'll just set that aside because I don't want to mess it up. Now to make these, I use what are they called? Charm squares, that's what they're called. Charm squares, and I bought a bunch of French ones. So these are French fabrics, which I love, of course. And I bought them online. So 2 of those put face to face, make 1 heart. So this is the result. I've got 1 on the back, and I'm using this for the front. I cut the heart, and it just fits nicely into the charm square, so there's really very little wastage. And then I sew it right sides together, turned inside out. Stuff it, not too much, just gently, and then I do what I call glove stitch around the edge to just finish off the edge. That's what it looks like on the back. And glove stitch is, in my way anyway, is you do twice over the seam and then skip over to the next one. I don't know whether you can see that. Twice over, and then go here again, and it just flattens the edge and kind of neatens the edge. And it's not real decorative, this stitch, but at least it shows that, you know, you've put some handwork into it, which I think is always important for things that are favors and gifts. I think it's nice to have something, you know, the person took time to do it. So I'm almost done. I've been around the whole thing. I'm using 3 strands of embroidery floss, and the color is somewhat coordinated. Let me see if I go once or twice. The color in this case is coordinated. On the other one, I just did a basic beige. And what you do when you've finished it is you just finish it off and then start decorating. And the decorating can be glued on or sewed on. And because it's fiber art, I think it's best to keep the hardware down to a minimum. I've made these over the years, and I sort of trot them out at Christmas. You could also use them to hang on the tree if you felt like it. But anyway, I call this glove stitch, and I know it's really French glove stitch, and I like it. It's quick, and it just finishes off the edge nicely. Now, almost down to there, and I'll show you what else I do. Almost there. I don't know if you can hear the birds today, but they're really singing. I don't know why, but they're really making a noise today. They seem to like it when I'm out on my lanai too. Some of them know me, and they can be a bit of a nuisance. They come and jump on if I'm doing some handwork out there. Okay, so I've finished that. So the way I finish it off is just like that, and then I put the needle down through here somewhere to get it lost, and then so that's that. So that's the hand sew. Here's another example, a little Christmas deer I made, and I used the glove stitch, and this is how it was usually sewn, very small stitches on the edge, and it pulls the edges together. And I understand it was used to make, you know, those leather gloves and things. So it's strong and it's not very obtrusive. So anyway, that's just another example of that. Now for decorating this, I decided I'm going to use this side And you need so little, it's amazing. I have some lace. I have some coffee dyed seam binding. I have this piece of, this was off a napkin. I tore it off an old napkin and I've ruffled that, and I'm going to make a flower out of that. And then some old hat flowers that I had, which is, you don't need much because it's small. So I've got those little hat flowers. I'll show you how I go about it. The first thing is, I've got a needle threaded somewhere here. Okay, so I've got a needle threaded with just some neutral thread. I'm not going to stitch on all of the components because a lot of them can't be stitched, but anyway, I'll stitch this on first. So I decided I want this sort of on an angle. I don't really want too much of it hanging off the side like that, so I'm going to switch it, and I'll just put a few stitches here to anchor it, really. So I'm just going to anchor that a little bit. It's kind of hard to see. Just here and there, not much, because the embellishments I put on there will definitely take care of the rest. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm going to do on that. I always poke it down through the stuffing and cut it off. Okay, now I want to, first of all, I sort of like to make a foundation, and so the foundation, it's kind of hard to see now, but there's the lace, and then this is the foundation flower that I made. So I'll show you how I did that with this. And where's that? Okay, so I've got a needle and thread, and I've already gathered this. So what I'm going to do is just twist it a bit, and I'll sew it as I twist it. So I'm just going to roughly twist it. It was a corner piece, so there's a corner right there. There's a corner. Gosh, I hope you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to twist that to there. And I'll put a couple of stitches in there just to hold it in the back. I don't waste time doing things. I just do it and then hope for the best. After all, it's only fabric. Okay, so there, I've got that to where it's like that, but I don't want it too textured, dimensional, in other words. So, okay, so now I'm turning this over. I'm going to finish this at the back. Just a little bit. Okay, so that's kind of that. Now I'll put this somewhere like I did on the other one. I'll put it there, and I'm going to come up through here and just stitch it a little bit. Just here and there, because the embellishments are actually going to go on top of it. So this is pretty much all the stitching. The rest of it you really can't stitch. Okay, so that's kind of good enough for that. I'll take that down, maybe make it a little flatter there. Okay. Now the rest of it I'm going to have to glue. It gets too difficult to do anymore. By the way, these are the threads I used. I used this one for the edge on this, and then this one I used for the edge on this one. Okay, now I've got a little piece of vintage netting that had a little dot on it. So I'm going to do that, give it a little twist in the center. And the first thing is I'm going to tuck it under there with a bit of glue, like that. So that's the first thing. Glass of water. Now, next thing is to play with the flowers. I have very few vintage hat flowers left, so I'm being sort of sparing with them. But anyway, here's one, and here is another. So what I'm going to do is, and then of course here's a leaf that came off the bunch. So what I'm going to do is sort of glue those together. Okay, so the first thing is I will glue this little group onto there, and then this one, this flower, I think they were off a bridal thing or something, bridal headdress or something like that. Okay, so put those there. Oh yeah, let me see, you don't see the leaf too well if I do that. Okay, so I've got that little collection, and now I'm going to just pop it in the center there. These could even be mother of the bride brooches. Okay. Can sort of play with that a little bit. Okay, so far that's what I have. Now, what else do I have to play with? I have another little vintage doodad, is blues and greens, so I'm going to put that, tuck that under somewhere. Where's that? And in this case, I'm going to try and tuck it under where the stem, yeah, there you go. So the stem's not showing too much. So I've got that all done. And now, here's my pin for the back. Then I do a bow, and I don't want the bow to be too long, but anyway, I dyed and ruffled some seam binding. I dyed it with some coffee, and the way I make a kind of a multi-loop bow is I double it like that. And then I'm going to tie it into a bow. I don't want it too dangly, as I say. But it has a kind of a vintagey, time-worn, bedraggled look. Okay, so that's my bow, and that's going to tuck under there. And I'm going to try and tuck it just so it peeks out from the lace. Let me see here. Now I want to put a little bit under this. So that's that. And I actually want to pull these down into sort of hanging down a little bit more. So that's that. Now the other thing I had out is I either have some of this little diamante chain, and I also have some little, these. Don't ask me what they are. The Swarovski crystals. I bought them like this in New Zealand. Don't know what they're for because they're on a little pin like that. So in order to use them, you have to cut that pin off, and I could pop that in a couple of places like I did on this one. I pop one there and I pop one there. Let me see, where shall I put it? I think I'll put one there. So put one there. Takes a little while to dry, so I'm going to have to be careful. And I'll put another one, I think. See if I can tuck one in here. I should really be using a Q-tip or a toothpick or something. For the glue, but I don't. Okay, so there we are. So there's the little brooch. Now, of course, I've got a pin back that I'm going to put on the back of it. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed that. That was easy, wasn't it?